And welcome everybody to week number 4 here over at Meta HSE, where things are kicking off with a bang. We'll be diving right into Champions League, guys. There is no delay. So I'll quickly do the introductions. My name is Midnight. I am joined by Reinhardt for our first game of the day, where it is going to be Reservoir High School facing off against East Doncaster Secondary College. So, two teams, they're both doing relatively well so far. 2 wins under the belt, 1 loss under their belts, as well as the banning phase right now has been powered through.
Yeah, and just looking at the champions band away, it's nice. It's nice in uniform. We have a good understanding. Set, Katarina, as well as Akali are very strong champions in the current meta. It would make a great deal of sense to block them away so that they don't have trouble coming into game 1 here tonight over at Meta HSE. But looking as well in the first champion is picked up, Kaiser, a uniformly strong champion currently in the ADC role. It's going to be very interesting to see what the pairing will be, because at the moment that could be a Morgana jungle as well over for Lurk. And currently speaking, Morgana does have the strongest wave clear when it comes to jungling at this current. So it's great to see a champion that can, powerhouse through their own jungle. But there is the setback that they won't be expecting a strong amount of ganks or even very vital ganks, because if she doesn't land that snare, it's pretty much, a forfeit lane, or it's a forfeit gank already off the bat.
And the 2 ways to counter that are, of course, number 1, which is, crowd control before she rocks up into the lane. And the second is, as you said, forfeited. Don't even go for that one there. So we'll see how that is. Yeah, I do think it is going to be the Morgana jungle. She has just been popping off at MSI. I don't think Morgana support has been played ever since the changes. So I don't think we'll see that one today. We might, who knows. As on the opposite side of the rift here, Nocturne picked up. Now again, this could be for the jungle. This could be for the mid lane. Nocturne's been a little bit flexible as of late. And the last lock-in is one I adore. The Jinx. Yes, she did get nerfed. She can't steal Baron just as easily, but she is still an insanely good late game hyper carry. And when we get to that 30-40 minute team fight, Reinhardt, Jinx is going to be able to go toe-for-toe up against a Kaiser.
Oh, even more. Could actually be up against their entire team if she doesn't get caught out by Jarvan 4. With that flag and drag followed by the Cataclysm. And things only get worse from there, just because you get into their back line, it's essentially you've just completely lost all control of that team fight. And looking forward, we've already got our 3 set of champions set up at the moment. We have yet to see the supports, as well as possibly their mid laners coming into this. I mean, at the moment, it is a little bit undetermined with that Morgana jungle. Could be a Morgana support, because we do have Jarvan 4 who can play well mid and jungle at the current. So a nice flexibility appearing on screen at the moment. We'll get better sense later on, but what's current is that they're really trying to make sure Snipe doesn't get some very comfortable champions, just because of Orianna and Ari being taken off the bat immediately.
Yeah, the other one thing that could be worth noting right now, it's very unconventional, but I know some people have been playing Jarvan support. If you remember a couple years ago, you went Spell Thief's Jarvan, first item Zhonya's, second item, I think it was second item either Gargoyles or Guardian Angel. It was a ridiculous build, but it is, in theory, possible, because now Jarvan either has to go for the support role, or he's going to get, thrown to top lane. Because, we kind of do expect the Morgana to rock in the jungle, but we'll find out where they go, because I'm a little confused where they're going to end up throwing everyone. Corki locked in, though, which is more than likely going to be for the middle lane, and Corki is not something I have seen for a while, actually.
He doesn't have a very strong place in the current meta. I mean, you've got some better champions to pick around, mainly focused around the assassin category, because I have seen a lot of assassins making debuts in solo ranked at this point, and it just makes a lot of sense because they just do an obnoxious amount of damage. They haven't been heavily nerfed. The items still are incredibly viable, and it kind of makes more sense. Like, we're seeing LeBlanc being picked, being hovered here, and it'll work really well into likes of Corki because she's able to dash in, get some damage, and get out. But it looks like last second change is going to be Cassiopeia, a champion that is a little bit underestimated, but we can't exactly take very likely, because once she does start stacking that Tear of the Goddess right up to full, gets that Seraph's Embrace, it is going to be an absolute madhouse. As we're looking at the last person picked up, going to be Fushiro in top lane. So one thing I'm loving is that we're seeing a lot of flex picking around the joint, except for Reperka and Just Smile.
Yeah, a lot of flexibility. The other big thing for me, and this is looking at Reservoir, with the Jinx and the Cassiopeia. Their late game, I think, is near unbeatable. You've got Jinx as a late game hyper carry for the AD damage output, and then of course you've got Cassiopeia, who is effectively a late game hyper carry, except all you've got to do is just aggressively attack the E button during team fights, and you're good to go. And the damage output, the consistent damage output from a Jinx and a Cassiopeia, in my opinion, is going to be nearly unstoppable coming in here. So East Doncaster secondary, I think they've got a little bit of a mountain to climb despite having the Malphite on their own team.
Looking into the likes of Aatrox, the only thing that's going to work really well for him is once he puts down that Meteorite Shard, he's going to actually try and keep a long-range poke advantage on top, because being such a resourceless champion, he has a good heal. He's got excellent range on his abilities. He's able to just completely jump on top if he has the opportunity. And post level 6, we're going to see Aatrox becoming incredibly heavy. The only thing I can really feel when it comes to versing champion is that Malphite's going to be a little bit more passive. He's going to build a little bit into the tanky portion of this game, and we'll see him come alive a little bit more once leaving lane phase. Unless we see the likes of Jarvan 4 just jump in all the time with that flag and drag and just stop Aatrox in his tracks. But Aatrox is a very slippery champion, and he is not someone to be underestimated when it comes to going for the gank, because he can still get out. He has those dashes available. He has the ability to still do a massive amount of damage in short succession. But we've also got Just Smile playing on Nocturne, who does incredibly well post level 6 because of his paranoia. And what my curiosity is, how is he going to play well with Cassiopeia coming into this game versus Jarvan 4 and Corki? And they both have good synergies. The only big difference I see at this point is that Cassiopeia is a more of a scaling champion. So post level 6, we will see things becoming a little bit more apparent with the champion, will appear on screen a little bit more often, and it's going to, I feel like it's going to work out incredibly well, especially with Taric on your team. Just being able to sort of sit on Jinx and Cassiopeia, popping that ulti to prevent them from being absolutely powerhouse by the likes of the enemy team, because you've at least got Malphite with that unstoppable, Jarvan 4 with the flag and drag cataclysm, and Corki with just Corki things, honestly speaking. Like if I was to see that Kai'Sa use the Killer Instinct to get into the backline after Malphite or Jarvan 4 go in, they have got every reason to puncture their front line and go straight through and take down, you know, their biggest damage dealers possible. So that's what I'm really looking out for when coming into this game. Like, you know, left side, we've got Nocturne post level 6. Cassiopeia and Jinx will need a lot of defense from Taric. And the other side of the spectrum, if Malphite and Jarvan 4 can punch it through straight to their backline with HSE using that Killer Instinct, it is going to be absolute madhouse. And Doncaster could have this advantage leading to early game just because of how stronger their early game composition is.
And I think the very interesting thing for me from Doncaster's side is, and as you mentioned it, their dive options. Again, you've got the Malphite, Jarvan, Morgana, Kai'Sa. All of them have, or love to, or have options in their kits to get into the backline there, get on top of this Jinx, get on top of this Cassiopeia. And Reservoir, I think it's not going to be just on the positioning of the Jinx and of course the Cassiopeia, because your positioning's good, but against like a Flash Malphite, oh, look, unless you got Flash up, you ain't dodging that. But I think my eyes are actually going to be on the Taric. If Taric is able to get a good ultimate off with that Aura of Protection to keep his carries from actually getting any form of damage, there's every possibility that the dive fails. But of course that is very dependent on Taric. But guys, I think it's time, we can sit here and theorize all day about how this matchup's going to go here, but let's get into it. We're diving right into our first game of the night. That is going to be Reservoir High School and East Doncaster Secondary College. Guys, do not go anywhere. We'll be back in only a few minutes to dive headfirst into our first game of the night. it is time. Game number 1 kicking off here, everybody, with Reservoir High School in the blue, versing off against East Doncaster Secondary College in the red. Now, Champions League did go through, and of course, as you said, it was Reinhardt, and I got it horribly wrong. It is going to be the Jarvan jungle with the Morgana support, so things are not going, again, a little bit untraditional in my opinion, because I'm just more used to the Morgana jungle right now, but you're talking earlier in Champions League about the strength of the Jarvan to pair up with that mid lane Corki.
Well, yeah, you start off with Flag and Drag, which is really uniform, and what works really well with a gap closing jungler is a gap closing mid laner as well, because that doubles the damage straight off the bat. You go up against a champion the likes of Cassiopeia that does not have a strong escape, does not have a lot of mobility, is the only champion in League of Legends currently that does not buy boots, has to rely on any other form of movement speed capabilities. That it's going to be standard that we're going to see Jarvan 4 trying to focus Catalyst a little bit more often coming to this game, because that does have the giant success factor to try and push the lead. And if jungle and mid do incredibly well in terms of team synergy, it's going to synergize well with the rest of the team, because it gives like that passive confidence booster for the other lanes. And, you know, Malphite is the champion that we're going to sort of see sitting back a little bit, having to play a bit more passive, because he's going with the likes of Aatrox. A champion that does well into range, has a good escape and everything, and look at that.
The level 2 gank in the middle lane, you talked about it, you called it exactly. Coming in there, the low or no mobility Cassiopeia, now forced to burn both her summoner spells, and she's a scaling champion, which means she needs time, and quite clearly East Doncaster are not interested in giving Catalyst any time to be allowed to scale.
No, and what's going to work well, the only thing that's going to work well for Cassiopeia at this point is that she's picked up the Tear of the Goddess, and Catalyst is going to look to try and get that straight to 7's embrace as soon as possible. And looking at top lane, we already see Ripperika already go hardcore on top of Kaz. He's going to try and use his Q charges on top of him as much as possible, passively farm these minions, and just gain this passive lead that he needs for the rest of his team. Because if Cassiopeia is not doing well, Ripperika needs to try and, you know, step up to the plate a little bit in order to sort of keep things on an even slate. Because if we looked at this in terms of a scale point of view, so far Reservoir High School have a bit of a disadvantage because of the likes of Cassiopeia mid lane with that Nocturne jungle who doesn't have a strong gank potential before level 6.
And on the other side, we're seeing Undried coming in nice and early. This is gank number 2 at the 3-minute mark. They're not going to be able to get the kill onto Matthew. But this Nocturne, as you just said, he needs time to farm up. He needs at level 6. And Undried Sultanas is using the tempo in his favor. He realizes, hey, I'm allowed to gank as much as I want, and I've got maybe 4 more minutes to get as many ganks in as I can slip.
Yeah, and just that's what I'm really loving about Sultana is playing Jarvan 4. He's maximizing his champion's potential to try and give his team that lead needed early on, so they can translate it into good map control into the mid-game phase, because you do have Dragon popping up in a couple of minutes. At around 8 minutes, you're also going to see the first Rift Herald spawn as well, that he's going to try and make sure that he has the freedom to be able to do it as much as he can, as Ripperika is already forcing Kaz to go back to base. This is what I'm talking about. Ripperika is going to go hardcore on top of Kaz, and he's going to keep him from even be able to actually get under the pump at this point.
Yeah, the only saving grace right now is that Ripperika is matching the recall immediately. They're not gonna hard shove that wave in. So both top lanes can choose to TP or walk back, it looks like. I think rather smartly, they're both choosing just to walk their way back up into lane. But as we've all seen in top lane, Ripperika is in a fantastic position. It is just courtesy of the matchup that he's managed to secure. And now we'll see about the bottom side, because you talked about an early Dragon potential. Well, Dragon is spawning in a minute's time, and we are seeing Undried starting channeling of a recall now. So is the possibility to go back, grab a couple items, and just haul it back to bottom lane?
Well, it would make a lot of sense. They did get River Scutter. They've also got Vision just outside of that pixel bush in the bottom river. They've got all vision control needed. Nocturne still passively farm over towards his golems. It would make a great deal of sense to try and get this early game advantage. And we can already see on the minimap, Jarvan 4 is now heading towards bottom. You've got Corki sitting passive, but trying to slowly push those minion waves underneath Catalyst's turret. And look as well, you've got Shiro and Lurk pushing their lane in as well. So they're going to try and put as much pressure on as possible to try and take away this dragon without any form of contestant. And so far, we can see sitting on there, you've got both of them going on top as well. Doncaster really have their strategy working in their favor right now.
Yeah, Doncaster came in here, what looks like a really good battle plan, and it's working out as Kaz is getting wailed in topside. It seems because the dragon and Kaz flashing the Mastery 7, but I'm not so sure when you're being bullied out of lane to the point where you're not even allowed to farm properly, that, you know, flashing the M7, I think this is more of a moral battle than anything else, because you're not winning the lane.
Well, so far, he's been forced to sort of sit underneath his own turret. Even with that corrupting pod, he's using it more for a defensive reason rather than aggressive. And this is what makes Aatrox a champion that is going to be very hard to contest against, especially when he has a heal all of his own on his passive. Plus, he gets extra healing from his abilities when they land down as well, based on damage potential.
OP in this middle lane is being one of the cruelest corkies I think I've ever seen. There with that, like, he's just denying Catalyst the ability to recall, because Catalyst is sitting on 1600 gold, which is enough for the Lost Chapter. If they wish to go for that item, obviously, as you can see, they pick up a different one, as Shiro getting caught out there for the Flame Chompers. He's going to get quite hurt, but shouldn't be much more than that. Lurk is getting beaten up by that Giant Hammer and actually forced to flash themselves to safety, but the Ignite will do no more damage. It's Sniper Matthew finally getting sick and tired of being bullied.
Going for that skirmish early. They limit tested what they could potentially do, and it worked in their favor. Both of them are sitting at least half mana pool. They did suffer quite a bit of damage. They did manage to also expend at least an Ignite. That now they could try and work this around a little bit more. Being forced underneath their own turret is a good thing, mainly because like Javanpur is sitting topside. All right, so they're not going to go aggressive. They're going to try and sit back a little bit, give themselves a little bit of time, and give Sultanas the opportunity to try and come back.
Oh my lord! Smile coming in for the top lane, that level 6 Paranoia. And in my opinion, Reinhardt, on a failed gank like that, that's a disaster, because now he's got to wait for that cooldown to come back up.
Yeah, and that's at least a 2-minute cooldown versus Javanpur. He's not level 6 yet, but he has made a lot of aggressive ganks, and he has done well for his team. They've even claimed the first dragon. So even though that he hasn't exactly had very successful ganks, the team synergy I'm vibing from Doncaster is almost unrivaled comparatively to Rostrevor at the moment.
Yeah, Reservoir are struggling a little bit right now. They've been on the back foot despite the gold lead that they've got, but I feel like the advantage that East Doncaster provided, you know, with the Untried on the Jarvan doing some really good ganks, he's just sort of let his foot off the accelerator a little bit. It's been a while since there have been a few ganks. The mid lane gank has already paid its dues. Cassiopeia now has access to both of the summoner spells available. The bot laner is just the Ignite down for Matthew, which we saw being burned before. So now the lane state's kind of stabilized. If Undried is going to continue to sort of sit back and just farm, it's not going to be great, because Smile, he's got the level 6, he's halfway to getting access to Paranoia again, and the Nocturne is ahead in CS by I can't do maths on stream, but about 10 CS ahead now.
And it's only going to make things worse. Look at Kaz. He's trying to step up to Paprika, but he has too much damage potential. He has too much healing factors to think about. Even with that Bramble Vest, he's not going to be able to stand up to the likes of an Aatrox just yet. We would need to see a little bit more aggressive action coming out with the help of Just Smile, but Just Smile with that first failed gank, he's going to have to be a little bit careful, but oh no.
Oh my lord! OP jumping in over the wall there with the package, the flashing from Kaz. One more hit will do it. Kaz, does he have the Seismic Shard available? It looks like it's off cooldown, but he cannot commit. And now Catalyst comes in from the backline there and secures themselves first blood at almost 10 minutes into the game.
Near 10 minutes, and we're only just seeing first blood. This game is a lot more intense than what we first anticipated. Now Catalyst, look at him go.
Yeah, OP forced the flash, but I don't think it's going to save you. Yes, you dodged the Petrifying Gaze, but unfortunately it is a matter of time before the snake runs you down, buddy. Goodbye, sweet princess, with the TP coming through. Does have backup, Kaz and Undried. They look for Catalyst, commit onto it. The barrier comes out, but will not save them as the Cataclysm locks down Rapuku. Rapuku realizes he is trapped in there with them and will not be making it out alive.
A very prolonged skirmish, a very prolonged trade. And I gotta say, they did lose one, but it did come in favor of at least.
Oh my god! A new challenger approaches of Smile coming in here. Flash to safety because of the Malphite ultimate. And now, TP coming in from OP as the Undried will charge forward to grab themselves a kill of their own. TP not needed, but damn did it look cool.
It was a huge question mark why he decided to do that. If it was to save the turret, he did do something, but go up against two champions. One that still had his ulti available, another who just came back from base, full health and mana. Not exactly the most ideal situation. It's almost like, you know, I did the calculations, but man, I'm bad at math meme right there. Like, I feel like that is the perfect physical example as to why you need to, like, keep it as a 2 versus 2 skirmish at the minimum. OPLP did suffer a little bit, you know, going top lane. He did give over a kill, but at least he gave the rest of his team something to benefit from. And Cassiopeia has completed onto the Archangel staff, looking to try and completely burst it out. But she is still yet to make a debut with her damage potential. She hasn't hit major power spike yet. That it's still working well in favor for Doncaster because of this information.
Yeah, exactly. The Cassiopeia is just sitting on mana. Her damage output is reduced. She needs her Liandry's Anguish, the mythic that makes Cassio just so terrifying. But because it's not secure, they don't want to fight. But on the other side, though, their opponents don't particularly want to go for that fight either. East Doncaster decide to give up Dragon number 2. Now, it is only a Cloud Dragon, which, like, you don't want to give it up unnecessarily, but there's no need to cause and, you know, initiate a fight there. Just give up the objective. You're worthy in position. And I would say, you know, secure Herald for it, but it looks like Smile has an objective in his sights too. As two mid lanes just scamming, Catalyst wants it, so missing the Petrifying Gaze, but it might not matter. The poison is getting OPL down low, but not going to be enough.
This is what I'm talking about with no mobility. Oh, I might even have to put it on a pause almost, because if they're already making for another play, it's going to be another 2v2 skirmish. 4v2 actually, as we see Cassiopeia and Tarek make their way.
Yeah, Kaz is a little bit trapped there. Will he get the backup there? As Matthew has roamed up from the bottom lane. Paranoia coming out. Where's the dive coming through? As Cosmic Radiance coming in, there is a massive shield. Smile on the front line, but will be forced to back away. Owo does get the CC down, and that should be enough to eliminate Catalyst, courtesy of Kaz. As the fight is breaking out, Untold Saitanas gets into the backline deck, gets the Cataclysm out onto Smile. Smile is taken down low, but will not get taken out just yet. The healing from Matthew is pretty damn good as Kaz skirmishing the best they can. OPL getting dumped on top by the Aatrox. Aatrox will pick up a 1-for-1. The two top lane is trading kills. Kaz now running for the hills. Does get the damage output! Yes, he does! Smacks down the Nocturne, says, buddy, this is not your house.
The one thing that went wrong with that fight is that the fight was split in 2 different areas. You had Cassiopeia, who had no mobility, take everything Kaz had to offer. And all the while, Aatrox does get the occasional kill in the backline, but that's essentially all he has to offer. Like, he was completely disconnected from Malphite to turn the tides and save the likes of Tarek and Just Smile. I did like the fact that Just Smile was a bit aggressive. He did have the courage to try and stand up and take down Malphite, considering how low he was. But he didn't take into effect that he's also got the Balmy Cinder. He also takes reduced damage from basic attacks, and he had a Bramble Vest, which all works well for him, but not so much for Nocturne. That he should have just saved base a little bit, as well as a death, and try and gave his team a little bit more leeway, because now that is actually going to force Reservoir to play a little bit more passive for a little bit, because they've given over one too many kills. They are a little bit behind in gold accumulation, but like when you break it down individually, you've got Jarvan 4 who's ahead, Corki who's actually trying to fly up a little bit better. Oh my god, there is just so much action top and bottom mostly at this point that it's really hard to actually try and, you know, get an understanding of where they're going to sit for the next couple of minutes.
Yeah, well, if the answer was going to be for bot lane, as we did see OPL decide to poke his nose down there on the Corki, obviously nothing came from it. The worry was, of course, the Cosmic Radiance from the Tarek, which we know is on cooldown, but some cooldowns are a lot harder to track, especially when you try to take, you know, cooldown reduction into consideration, so didn't want to risk it. As right in the top jungle, a beautiful ultimate from Cataclysm that does get the Conqueror pop, but Kaz is on the flank. The Baron is secured, but a 2-man Cataclysm punch through, but guess who's top lane? Matthew once again on the roaming Tarek has trapped 2 members in the pit there. One will flash over the wall and abandon his jungler to his fate.
The only thing that worked in their favor is, even though they did lose both their junglers, Reservoir did manage to actually cap out and claim Herald's Eye. So they do have the option to try and get the slight advantage, try and get first turret down, get that bonus gold needed to open up the map a little bit more for the team. But speaking of, it's past 14 minutes. All 3 tier 1 turrets on both sides are still alive. It's going to be a very close in each game. Like, I'd say for the next 10 minutes or so, both sides are going to be a little bit passive towards each other. And when it comes to a fight, they are really going to push themselves in quite strongly. And like, we're going to see a lot of teamfight action come in the next couple of minutes. At least 3 versus 3, or even a 4v4, just because I love seeing Matthew already roaming around the map versus Lurk, who has made himself known here and there. But you've got Kai'Sa coming up as well on the board. She's going to complete her first item.
Rebuke is actually almost going to solo kill Kaz. A couple hits will do it, but the TP coming through will not save them. OPL now trying to avenge his top laner, but will it matter? The healing that can come through from a double bust Aatrox is insane. The flash was mandatory in order to dodge the third Q of the Dark Blade, but OPL's so scared. If he walks into this bush and gets caught by a chain, he is a dead man. And quite wisely chooses to back away. But the backup now coming through there as the use of the paranoia does commit to the engage, but will it be enough damage? There's a blast bomb there to leap over the wall, and Lurk gets out with the skin of their teeth.
I gotta say, both sides providing very strong front lines at the moment. Oh, straight on
Double
the back!
Yeah, double TP coming through as well. Catalyst does not get a petrifying gaze there, but it does not matter as the fight breaks out once again between these two teams. The Super Mega Death Rocket goes a little bit wide. Rebuka, though, does be forced to disengage. Sultanas is looking for something, but I'm not so sure they can risk it. With the Rift Herald drop mid, though, Reinhardt, the battle is far from over. You said a couple minutes of passiveness. Well, it looks like a 5v5 is in the works here, but the mid lane is merely a distraction. It is the dragon that these teams are prioritizing. We do, of course, see Reservoir getting there first, but the rest of the teams are piling into the fight. Their Smile is a decoy to flash away, but keep our eye on Snipe. Is untouched on this Jinx. Finally dies in the backline, but it may not matter, as we are seeing Shiro getting caught out of position, and Repuka just says, alright buddy, you want to stand near me? I'm happy to cut you down a size. That is the members of East Doncaster falling such a scattered fight. Sultanas is just trying to recover the best of a bad situation. But it does not matter. Everyone from East Doncaster dies in the river, while only 2 members of Reservoir will join them.
Taking on an ace, as well as remaining on top of Dragon, like, you know, as like a secondary objective, simultaneously tasking multiple areas. You gotta give it to Reparika for being the absolute hardcore ruffle stomper in that round, or in that fight, mainly because they managed to actually proc Matthew's ultimate and actually get the, like, you know, the damage Sunil needed. He went straight into their backline, suffered no damage, dealt a lot of damage, took down as many people as possible. If we could see a damage chart, you would see Reparika had the highest damage output throughout that fight. He went for Jinx, he went for Shiro, he went for Lurk, he pretty much like lined himself up to take down the rest of them. It's just unfortunate that Just Smile managed to claim the final kills.
Sorry, you caught me mid-sip there. Coming in nearly 20 minutes sitting on the clock, sorry, 19 I should say, and items are finally starting to get made, Reinhardt, but there are a few people that are lacking in their mythics. Unsurprisingly, the 2 champions who did go for tier of the Goddess are still putting together their Leandries, and of course what I can assume is going to be the Trinity Force for the... oh my lord, Catalyst is feeling things today, and this is before a mythic. This is before, you know, Catalyst really hits the damage output of a 2-item spike for this Cassiopeia. This is the stuff where you wake up in a cold sweat at the middle of the night asking yourselves, why am I dreaming of League of Legends? And why is a Cassiopeia 11-1?
Well, if she does manage to actually hit that, you know, the nice 10 kill spree, as soon as she finishes up the Leandra's Anguish, just by the choice of items, she's going to deal quite a bit of damage. And Malphite, Jarvan 4 aren't going to be able to withstand that much pressure. You've already got Reparika, who's, you know, being in the front line for the team, going straight through and puncturing their backline. I did say in champion selection that Kaz and Sultanas does have a better, like, I guess, advantage when it comes to, like, you know, going in to their backline. But so far that is yet to be seen, because Matthew and Reparika are really trying to keep themselves in the front line, make sure they can't even actually contest and get the advantage.
All in on Matthew here. It's a little bit risky. Paranoia used, but it's simply not gonna matter. And I kind of must admit, I love Smile's use of the Nocturne ultimate because it was a scare tactic. And unfortunately, in this case, I think their opponents aren't so scared of the darkness.
Well, when there was at least 3 to 4 people sitting there, and all ults is available.
Oh my lord! Kaz the Madman! They're gone! You are not holding a turret against a dive comp! That was beautiful!
That was the condition they needed to meet in order to win these team fights. They need to get Jarvan Form and Malphite to puncture their backline, like we saw just then with the Unstoppable and Cataclysm, to be able to turn the tides. But Reparika is going to now turn this around.
Yeah, well, he's looking for it, but I'm not so sure he's going to be able to there. The threat, again, we talked about, well, Smile couldn't engage with the ultimate because, you know, there were multiple members around. Same reason, Paprika, he's strong, he has the gore drinking, he has himself, you know, those fancy caps, and he just picked up the Sterix gauge, but you're not 1v5 levels strong, and I don't know if that's ever gonna happen right now, because look at the items East Doncaster have started to pick up for themselves, and I am in love. Grievous wounds on 3 of the 5 members from East Doncaster.
But the only thing I find really that sort of like, you know, doesn't exactly work well with that is, yeah, they do have 3 members that can apply Grievous wounds. 2 of them does require him to basic attack them in order for it to apply. You're not seeing Corki going in as aggressively as much as what we would like to see. Jarvan 4 does have a lot of aggressive pressure, but without Malphite nearby to try and puncture straight into Reparika and sort of force him to retreat a little bit, you've got to worry about Matthew. You've got to worry about Catalyst. Just Smile with that paranoia. There are many factors that need to come into play.
Yeah, well, another factor coming into play is that Snipe is just going to get tucked down by OPL then. He might actually make it out alive. Ignite is down, but there is not going to be an escape there. And meanwhile, topside, Rebuka is getting 4-man committed to. Is he going to have the damage output to get alive, or even make a turnaround kill? The answer is simply, well, no.
He has a lot of potential to be able to try and take as much pressure off the rest of Reservoir as possible, but when you've got 4 or 5 members really charging on top of you when you're trying to split push, is really going to set your team back, because so far he is the contributing factor when it comes to turning the tides of a team fight. That if he is taken down, that is the team fight condition that Doncaster need to meet in order to be able to win these team fights and gain more control of the map, because so far it is still very close-knit between both sides. The only major difference is Reparika when he comes to the team. If he's taken down, we're going to see Doncaster really apply pressure wherever possible. Malphite applied a lot of pressure top. Nocturne is slowly still trying to take down that tier 1 turret in bottom lane. You've got the rest of their teams really focusing on Dragon with the teleport coming out from Malphite.
Yeah, and the flank TP coming in from Rebuka as well, so that's going to be Lurk being nuked. The Super Mega Death Rocket will not commit to the kill, but the Morgana is basically out of the fight. This is a 4v5 at best, as they're going to filter into a choke point here. Now Cassiopeia cannot get caught up, but the knockup is massive. Kaz and the follow-up flag and drag, but Snipe and Kata did not die in that combination. They are still alive in the fight there. Kaz and OPL will finally dive on top of them. That will be Reservoir's backline dead. But guess who's still alive, baby? It is Repuka on this massive Aatrox here, diving forwards. Gets the stun on Kaz, courtesy of Matthew. Kaz now cutting it out, but the fight's over. Repuka is just playing chicken with the blast plan here, but I'm not sure Kaz will be getting that alive. He will join his team back at base with the 3rd dragon secured for the side of Reservoir High School.
Oh, it's not over yet. We've got Baron available. I do see a ping hovering over Baron Pit. They're going to try and focus this next objective. And what did I tell you? Reparika, if he comes to the team fight, they will win it regardless. He pretty much took down Morgana. He helped manage to take down Morgana, Kaiser, and OPLP without even trying to actually, look towards Sultanas and Kaz, because they were already controlled in a different area altogether. They didn't defend their backline. They went straight into sniping Matthew and Catalyst in the backline, but that's literally it. They couldn't take them down. They had damage deniability because of Matthew. That the tide completely turned because Aatrox was left unchecked, and he was able to delete people left, right, and center. Yeah, this Aatrox is getting ignored almost by the side of East Doncaster, and I'll confess even I did for a little bit here. When I looked at the team composition, my eyes were on the Cassiopeia and the Jinx.
Now, that makes me the fool in this situation because the Aatrox has been doing the carrying in these later sections of the fight. Coming through, and there might be a little bit more there because we know the dive options as, my lord, the petrifying gaze whiffs completely from an engage.
But it was nice to see that OPLP did prepare for it. He dashed away immediately after using the care package. Now we're going to see both sides opt towards Baron Pit. They did take down the first ward needed, but that gave the information indicator for Reservoir to try and contest. And we've got Aatrox nearby. He's going to look to try and probably catch them off guard. They're going to bait it out, actually, and if they can catch out one person with Jarvan 4 or Malphite initiating the charge on Reparika, it's going to work well for their favor, and they're going to be able to capitalize on this and take down Baron. But they are respecting that Reparika is nearby. They are respecting that he can completely turn the tides to that team fight if Matthew is also left on check to try and help defend Jinx and Cassiopeia.
Yeah, but there are still openings. For example, right now, Smile is top lane. If East Doncaster pull the trigger right now with the Malphite, I'm talking, I'd say Flash Malphite, which obviously isn't available, but commit hard there could have been an option. Obviously, with Smile rotating down now, it is simply a bit of a Baron dance, but there's a bit of a problem with the Baron dance right now, Reinhardt, which is when there are tier 1 turrets available, like they are right now for Reservoir, the Baron dance is so hard to do properly.
And just looking forward, you've got both sides now beginning to reset themselves. We're seeing 2 item completions near across the board. We're going to see people hitting their first major power spikes, or I guess more or less item spikes. Kai'Sa does have the unlocked Q, looking towards completing as well as the extra attack speed on her E, where she gets invisibility on top of. The game's going to become a little bit more, I guess, evenly played, but Reparika is the only champion that we need to look at when, you know, Reservoir decide to go in for a team fight. Because if he's left unchecked, like we have seen so far, he's going to win the team fights for his team. They're going to be able to capitalize on everything else on top of. But on the other side of the spectrum, if Kaz and Sultanas focus him down and take him out before Matthew managed to pop in his ulti on any one of his team members, it's going to be a different story. So it's like, those are our like win conditions when it comes to the next couple team fights, is that if Reparika's alive, Reservoir win. If Jarvan 4 and Kaz manage to take down Aatrox, it's going to be a different sided story because they've got a lot of damage potential across the board, whereas we've yet to see Jinx complete that third item. Like, yeah, she's got 40% crit chance working towards the Lord Dominic's regards. Cassiopeia has 3 items in his kit. He's also got these on his Hourglass, which is going to work really well to try and sort of deny any extra form of capabilities. That Reservoir are actually beginning to step up to play a little bit more. They're meeting their own individual conditions that can contribute well towards this late game competition that they're really trying to offer on the plate.
Yeah, exactly, and now they're actually allowed to contest. Well, I say contest, this is Dragon number 4, so remember, for the side of Reservoir, this is going to be the soul for them. So they really want to secure this objective, but personally, I think there's no harm in giving this one up if you're a little bit worried. But your Cassio does have 3 items, Repuka is feeling it, and if you can catch out the Jarvan, that would have been massive, but the Jarvan does flag and drag their way to safety. But there is still the all-in. We've seen it before, we'll see it again, Reinhardt, and we'll absolutely see it now as both teams are posturing around the Dragon Pit as it jumps onto the wall, ready for the slaughter.
Yeah, with this next Dragon available, I'm very curious if we're going to see Reservoir try and do this multiple objective again as Reparika.
Yeah, but the back line is so spread out, so there's no easy engage for Kaz. Kaz is forced to hold the front line there. Dragon is taking down low. Dragon is secured. And now the side of East is split up and scattered. Look at Repuka! He's dived into the back line, basically 1v3s. Then fight me, buddy. You can't do it anyway. Android gets out alive, but Repuka is the main man of the hour here. He goes 1v3 against both carries and the support, doesn't die, and removes East Doncaster from the contest of the Dragon, and has ensured his team gets the Baron as well.
That fight is testament to Snipe is completely online now. He's going to be able to dish out multiple forms of damage to both Kaz and Undried. That sort of twists the tongue a little bit, that name. Undried, S really twists the tongue. But regardless, Snipe's online as well as Catalyst with those Hourglass available.
right? I mean, there's every possibility he gets into the pit. Now remember, it's Knight's at about 900, so they need to kill him before they can turn the objective. But instead, they decide, nah, just kill him instead. Problem solved, as OPL will fall, but the rest of the team piling in for the backline there. The Cassie ult does not connect, but Shiro's caught! Shiro's dead! That's the contest option they needed, as 3 kills now in the back pocket of Repuka. This man is on fire! Charging forward, there are the possibilities of a pentakill, but Kaz and Lurk say, we want to get the hell out of here, buddy. Let's go, let's run.
And just like that, this game is completely turned over in favor for Reservoir in this late game. They will be able to win any team fight as long as Aatrox survives. Like, Snipe and Catalyst can do well surviving on their own, as long as they have Matthew nearby to help deny as much damage as possible and provide that extra healing and shielding possible. But the huge credit goes over to Repuka, the MVP of this game thus far, really turning tides of any team fight. He's sitting on a 700 gold bounty, for ridiculous sake, and he's 11-2. He has undisputably the most gold in the game, the best accumulated items for the champion, and just no one's able to step up to the plate against him. Unless all 4 members from Doncaster do actually catch him off guard when he goes for the split push, it's pretty much going to be they need to play the game a little bit more cautiously. They need to look for opportunities elsewhere to delete down people where possible, because he's officially taking on 3 people and still managing to hold his own, as we're now hitting a pause for the moment.
But what's also alarming with this Aatrox is it's level 17 Aatrox. Highest level in the game by at least 2 levels, sorry, I should say. The other one on the highest is Undried and Kaz at 15. But that is ridiculous, and it's going to get worse right now, because if you can see the current items, it's getting Gore Drinker, Ravenous, as well as a Sterix, and of course the Steel Caps. He's got 2,500 gold in the inventory. So that is at least a fully completed 5th item, and then you sell the Dorans, and if you pick up something like a Guardian Angel onto this Aatrox, I personally don't see how East Doncaster are actually meant to fight that, because you can't kill Aatrox because, well, it's Aatrox, he's got the healing, and now he's got a Guardian Angel, and if you try and ignore the Aatrox and kill the backline, Matthew's ultimate on the Taric delays everything for so long, and then Repuka kills you and your entire team anyway. So you're stuck in a situation where no matter what you do, if you don't sort of take this game to 50, 60 minutes, if you don't get, dead even gold and 6 items across the board, I'm really worried that Repuka is just going to sort of single-handedly take over this game.
I'm feeling that same vibe as well, Midnight. The only thing that sort of, creates a bit of a conundrum is that you've got Kaiser, who has still to build up a little bit more. She's gone straight towards the Infinity Edge, has completed, his Q, completely unlocked it. Hasn't actually opted towards finishing that collector yet. And once we see those 2 items sitting in their inventory, as well as Corky making towards that 4th item after getting his mythic, because he's the only champion in this game at the moment who has yet to actually complete his mythic item and get those passive stacks rolling on top of. And since he's going towards Immortal Shield Bow, it's going to provide a little bit of extra defenses for his team. But you did mention this as well. He's the only member on his team that doesn't have Grievous Wounds that he can apply to Aatrox yet. Because Repuka, he's got so much healing capabilities. He's got his own abilities. He's got his own abilities that give him healing. His passive. And now he's also got some extra Omnivamp from his Ravenous Hydra, as well as that Gore Drinker. There's just too much healing factor to consider. And he needs to be able to actually finish up and get some Grievous Wounds to help the rest of his team, because they need to try and control Repuka. If they don't control him, they don't control any team fight. And so far, that has been made testament over the last couple of team fights, just because of how much he's been able to go through their backline unchecked and delete the likes of Kaiser as well as Corky at this point.
It's a serious problem, but again, we saw in the other fight as well, right, when there was an intensive focus on Catalyst and Snipe, you can't even commit to killing them because your backline's in trouble. It's just a little bit of an all-round disaster for East Doncaster right now. Their dive comp is being stopped by the Aatrox at the front door. And, well, let's find out if they can sneak their way past the bouncer, as there will be another fight in probably about a minute and a half time, because, of course, oh, wait a second, never mind, Shiro's in trouble, he has to run for it, but Smile is hungry for the kill, gets the fear tether down, and that is going to be Shiro dying 47-second death timer. They will be up in time for the Dragon, but Baron is available now if they want to try force it from the side of Reservoir.
Well, sitting on a 4 versus 5 situation, Midnight, it would make sense. They do have the man capabilities. Riperick is still unchecked. He is being the frontline damage dealer as much as possible. He's really forcing him into a corner, and you know, with the likes of Ravenous Hydra in his pocket and Gore Drinker, he's now got extra AoE damage that he can apply. His splash damage is almost, you know, becoming too much to even like ignore, that they're gonna have to try and keep the split on. And if we see Kai'Sa get taken out again like that in a split situation, it could almost be potentially game ending, because we're at that late game point. Spawn timers are going to be at least 30 to 40 seconds. And it's anybody's game still. Like, if anybody gets deleted, if one team gets completely taken out, you can pretty much run straight through and almost potentially take down that crystal because of how much time you have on those respawns. So in the next couple of minutes, we're going to see both teams stay completely close-knit to one another. Hopefully we don't see the likes of Corki and Kai'Sa possibly try and look for the split push, but Kaz and Sultanas are going to be the look out for when we're going for these next team fights, just because of their Flag and Drag Cataclysm, unstoppable ultis they have in their pocket.
Yeah, no, Dragon has spawned, so there will be a fight here. We are seeing a flank from Repuka and Matthew, but they haven't been caught out, and I don't know if they know. Well, with that, they definitely know about, courtesy of the Void Seeker. The Dragon has the team just swapped places on Summoner's Rift. Why? Oh, the flank coming in from OPL on the Corki is gonna pull everyone, but you can't commit because he has the package. This is a really weird situation as Dragon has decided 3k up. There is gonna be Repuka diving into the backline to buy time, buy space. Will it be enough as the objective is taken down low? Corki comes in for the sweat there. It will be stolen away as now the rest of the team is being piled in on top of him, and Repuka isn't actually able to do much. Now he finally gets access, but the backline was left untouched. Snipe and Catalyst were left to do what they wanted, and this time there was once again a split focus. They didn't focus the backline Jinx Cassio, they didn't focus the front line of the Aatrox, and they don't win the fight. They only able to pick up 3 kills as back end of it.
And still remaining alive, Reparika goes straight into the backline, takes down as many people as possible. The only reason he was actually able to survive that fight and turn the tides was because Matthew managed to plant his ulti on top. He denied as much damage, you know, taken as much as possible, absorbed nothing whatsoever, pretty much the no damage result he needed. And he just completely deleted people where possible. Like, Gore Drinker helped him secure kills. You've got the passive coming out from Ravenous Hydra to just split out the damage evenly between everybody. It is just a recipe for success for Reservoir, and they're going to keep this benefit in their pocket. They didn't exactly claim Dragon, but that's nothing short of the fact that they still have this game in their favor. They will win their team fights. Baron is the next major objective available. We're going to see both sides opting towards focusing on that. At the moment, I love the warding situations between both sides. What I did find a little bit situational was that when a ward gets taken out, the enemy team is immediately taking note of it. They're going to try and work towards that because they know exactly where their enemy is. And so far, if Reparika can try and stay on the side and catch them up in their backline, it is going to be their victor regardless. They will be able to win any team fight possible. That Kaz and Sultanas are still going for their backline. They're not understanding. I don't think they've gotten it through that Reparika is remaining unchecked and he's taking around team fights. They need to focus him. They need to stop him from charging in order to be able to turn the tides around, because you've got Shiro and Lurk forced to stay into their backline, disconnected from the rest of the team fight, that it feels like it's a 3v5 almost for Doncaster, that they're not exactly going to meet success where possible, as long as this, you know, this little hurdle is still remaining in place.
But the problem is, and I think it's why we're seeing they're committing to the dive, is it's a Cassiopeia and a Jinx. You're not allowed to just let them free here. So they're trying to commit to the backline, but their own backline from East Doncaster isn't able to follow up, and that's where everything goes a little bit unchecked. But you're talking about flanks. Oh, Lord, Repuka is on a perfect flank here for the team. TP is available for Kaz, so it will come through there. The rest of the team piling in. Baron at 8,000 HP. What will be the decision? Do you commit to the fight? Do you commit to the steal, East Doncaster? This is the question you have to answer, and ideally you want to answer it in the next couple of seconds, but it looks like they're going to commit to the fight, and that is not what Reservoir wanted. They will completely disengage off the Baron, taking a bit of poke, and OBL does get out of danger, courtesy of the Black Shield and, of course, the Valkyrie.
No ultimates expanded throughout that prolonged trade. The skirmish is looking pretty favorable at the moment for Doncaster just because of Corky's rockets. But Reparika is going to be the one to lead the charges.
Untried's nearby. There is every possibility for steal, but it does not work out. Untried, he had to make the attempt there, but he is going to go down. Does force out Snipe's Flash, actually, to keep the Jinx safe there, which is a nice summon as well. But again, I think that's a move you just kind of have to make. You do not want to give up the objective, and if you fail it, well, only one person died.
And at a point like this, they did lose their jungler. Doncaster forced to sit more passively now, as they've also got Baron and Cross and minions to worry about. And Reparika is really going to try and apply this pressure on with Just Smile on the sidelines. But one thing we did have to actually take into consideration in that fight is Snipe using his flash to get away. He's got 75% crit chance in his pocket. He's got Brennan's Hurricane. He's got Lordonric's Regards and Kraken Slayer. The ultimate recipe for an ADC to really dish out the damage where possible. That Reparika is not the only person that you're considering more, and you were right. Catalyst and Snipe are now other contenders that they need to keep in check. That the team compositions and the damage output compared between both teams is heavily in favor for Reservoir. That if they aren't careful, they could potentially hand this game over to Doncaster just for being a little bit reckless. But we've yet to see that because Matthew is sitting on their backline. Like, he is being an amazing support for his team that it's almost like tear-jerking, seeing, you know, he's really trying to make sure that he keeps Catalyst and Snipe alive while Reparika wreaks havoc with the help of his ulti.
Yeah. Well, we're going to see it once again right now as Dragon is spawning in 15 seconds. This is Soul for both teams, so there is very little possibility that they don't contest here. OPL is the latest to the party, but with access to the teleport, worst comes, they will rock up. A Guardian Angel has just been picked up for the Corki, though. I think that's a really important thing to know. And another one is Catalyst does not have his Death Cap yet. He's got the two needlessly large rods, but does not have the objective. Oh my lord, this could actually be pretty big if they can nuke him down from the start to finish. Repuka getting down low, but the Cosmic Radiance is massive. But that is it. Massive one there. It's a beautiful ult for Catalyst! That could be an opening that they needed there, but the team isn't dead yet. As the fight continues on the backline there, they will lose the fact Kaz engaged in the backside there. Shiro is doing well. There's actually the opening. They have found their opening. East Doncaster is winning the team fight. They've managed to get down Repuka before he could do anything, courtesy of Lurk and a beautiful Dark Binding. 1, 2, 3, and 4 in the mid laner of East Doncaster. This is the revival they needed.
What did I tell you? Reparika got caught out. That was the condition that Doncaster needed to be able to win these team fights. They did everything possible. They kept him away from the likes of OPLP and Shiro. That they achieved ultimate glory in that last fight. They managed to ace away for the first time after so long the rest of Reservoir, and they also managed to claim Dragon's Soul on top of, which is going to work really well for the coming team fights because they have the extra shield to soak up extra damage. All they need to do now is keep up this rinse and repeat procedure. You've got Just Smile and Catalyst who can dish out a bit of damage, same with Snipe, but as long as Reparika is kept in check, they can be met with, they can be met by the likes of OP and Shiro, just because of how much we saw them really help turn the tides after Reparika got taken down. Damage is absolutely on an even slate at this moment. The scale is almost completely balanced between both sides. That it all comes down to the fight condition they need to me in order to actually win the overall team fight. Reparika for Doncaster, and then you've just got Reparika against Doncaster. If he's remaining unchecked, they win. If he's checked, Doncaster wins. It's a very simple condition. What's really interesting is that both factors have Reparika in common, that he is just going to be the one they're all going to be looking out for.
Well, so far, and the other thing worth noting is that Reparika, a couple minutes ago, did hit the 6 items. Their final item was the Chem Tankers. Oh, give us a second. Shiro does get out alive. But what I was going to say is the fact that with the final, 6 items sitting on the Aatrox, the champion doesn't get any stronger than this. This is, the maximum point of Repuka as they're trying to set up for a flank. They know they cannot afford to walk head first at the Morgana, but, oh my lord, no, not again. Not again. Okay, thank God. I've seen this song and dance before when Aatrox gets caught by a Dark Binding, and it's ARAM time because everyone is mid lane and just, vibing out for the next objective. 3 minutes, 50 seconds until the Elder Dragon hits Summoner's Rift.
We're seeing level 18 from Aatrox. We've got 3 level 17s actually. We're hitting that point where spawn timers are going to be close to 1 minute. That the next team that gets completely aced could potentially be the game-ending moment, just because of how much room you have to be able to push, how easy it is to actually just run it down lane after, you know, a team dies. That it could actually be like, you know, this is pretty much the vital couple minutes we are looking to see in, you know, in this first game today between Reservoir and Doncaster. But what remains to be present is that you've got Ripperika, who's unchecked, but you've also got Cassiopeia and Jinx, that if they manage to dish out quite a bit of damage, it's going to work well for Reservoir. But you've also got Corky now sitting on all items. He's level 18. He's pretty much got everything working in his play. His rockets deal an obnoxious amount of damage just from a poking standpoint. But I'm worried as to what it'll be like when it goes to a team fight midnight.
Yeah. As someone who was a Jinx main for how long was that, about 2.5 something years, this point is ironically the happiest you are as a Jinx. The only thing I think would be really nice here is you swap out the boots for a Phantom Dancer, because Phantom Dancer is insane, but then again, you love your boots. So, you see that there. As Jinx, as long as if the Jinx is left untouched, if she's allowed 6-7 seconds in a team fight to just stand still in in Pow Pow or Fishbone's form and just attack, you shouldn't be winning the team fight. Now, the only saving grace is you do have Mountain, but, well, let's find out. As Baron, sorry, I should say, is started up. Paranoia used to buy a little bit of time there, diving into the backline. Can he seal it? Not able to seal that one. Once again secured from the side of Reservoir. It is now 4v5 for nearly a minute.
And you still have Matthew's ultimate available. Aatrox has yet to hit World Under. Cassiopeia and Jinx still alive. And let's also not forget that Jinx has that Guardian Angel. They're going to look to push all the way through and end this game off, because they know that Doncaster do not have any legs to stand on. They don't have a wild card in their pockets to try and turn the tides. It's pretty much going to be over in the next couple of seconds.
It might be. Let's find out. Who are they able to siege it up? Baron is letting them take it slowly, but they will take the inhibitor. Step one, you got to tick your eye. Dot your I's, cross your T's, as some nice damage up with Kaz getting caught up by a stun. As the siege continues, Baron minions filtering through here. Snipe hitting on the turret said these are the important things. Dark Finding has yet to connect with one of the priority members. Snipe, oh my lord, getting nuked there. Curtain does get out alive, but with Snipe's health so low, courtesy of a single rocket of OPL's Corky, I think that's going to force to disengage. Unless Kaz is feeling like a flash ult's available, the game is not over yet.
No, but they were pretty close to doing it. As soon as they saw OPLP pop out those rockets and dish quite a bit of damage to them, they did not take that in consideration. They were taken a little bit by shock, and they did play it smart and retreat. We had to see Tarek use both his Lock of the Iron Solari and the Gargoyle Stoneplate just to be able to absorb that damage and get away freely. Because the entire time, he was sitting between Jinx and Corky to soak up as much damage as possible and help them get away and return this fight in their favor. Because this map is heavily in favor of Reservoir. They've got 2 inhibitors down, 1 Nexus turret remaining. You've got Aatrox split pushing with top lane as well. You've got 2 lanes with super minions now colliding straight towards their base. You've got Elder Dragon spawning in just under 10 seconds. This game is going to be focusing towards Elder Dragon, and if Reservoir claim it, it is going to be history in the making here tonight, midnight.
Yeah, well, they've got to see if they can, because Elder is started up. Now, a Jinx will tear this dragon apart, so there needs to be action right about now. Now, Undrade is nearby, but they have to be so careful. I don't think they're taking a guess, but if you give up this objective, I don't think you're allowed to team fight. So they have to go in now. They have to be the ones choosing good. They dive into the backline there, but they do not secure the Elder. And this could be a disaster. They're diving into the backline there. 1-2 is down already. This is a disaster. Kaz might be able to run down Snipe with Undrade, but remember, Guardian Angel, it doesn't matter as no one gets down. Repuka does have the Elder. Is it going to be enough? Does he have the healing to do it? Picks up 1 with the Guardian Angel Croc. Repuka hunting down Shiro. Shiro flashes back in. He will be able to pick up the kill. They're saving his mid laner, but I don't know if it's going to matter, Reinhardt. There are 4 members of Reservoir barreling down the mid.
Oh, this could be it. You've got 4 members still alive from Reservoir. They have Elder Dragon in their pocket. They have the execute needed to be able to take down as much as they can. And with oldies down, it's over.
Yeah, Tarek gonna go down there. Shiro trying to do what he can. He is the hope of OPL. But they're just focusing on the Nexus there. They lose Kaz. OPL dives into the backline there. Smile is trying to do what he can, but they lose 1. Shiro is gonna go down as well. What a hell of a game for game number 1 tonight.
47 minutes. 7 dragons. As well as an Elder Dragon. I think at least 2 Heralds and 2 Barons. that was taken throughout the duration of this game. And I gotta say, I'm absolutely baffled at how much explosive action there was, how much damage, how much highlightable plays there were. Like, if we had to clip all these games, we'd probably have a 3-minute video as like, how much they really wrecked each other on this map. But I gotta say, I'm just absolutely astonished at how well that last team fight went. I did say, if whoever gets that Elder Dragon will turn the tides of the next team fight and be able to put this game completely in their favor. And what did we see? Reservoir managed to get the dragon. They managed to delete people. Ripperika managed to force 2 members out of play altogether. He managed to force both Corky and Shiro to sort of run away, force themselves away from a team fight altogether. Malphite was all the way in the top lane, God knows where. And the rest of the team, there were still 4 members alive, and they completely ran it down mid and managed to get this ultimate victory. It was just absolutely plain and simple. Like, we just saw it happen on screen.
Yeah, it was a phenomenal game number 1. And the best part around it is, hey, we've got 2 more games in our back pocket later today. But I think first and foremost, we do get to talk about the MVP coming in. And now, I don't really think there's a whole lot to discuss here, Reinhard. I feel like our top laner of the side of Reservoir is going to get their name in shining lights here. Of course, the Optus and Torrens University MVP screen is going to be in the favor of Repuka. 15, 4, and 13 on this Aatrox. A absolutely fantastic performance out of our man in the top lane there. And I mean, we talked about it so often. If Reservoir had to win, it had to be on the back of Repuka in these team fights.
And it worked. It worked well. He managed to split off their backline as much as he possibly could in nearly every team fight, with the help of Matthew popping his ulti, giving him no damage possibility, giving him no damage probability. Essentially helped, turn the tides of any team fight. He did get caught out once. They did lose a dragon, but it was nothing short of, it just delayed the inevitable. They didn't have Dragon Soul, but they had Elder Dragon in their pocket. And with his ability to soak up as much damage, heal from the amount of damage he deals, it was just the ultimate recipe for success. And huge congratulations to Reservoir, and a huge congratulations to Ripperika on the Aatrox gameplay here tonight, just from game number 1 that we have to offer here at Meta HSE.
Yeah, phenomenal game number 1, guys. But that is only our first game of the night. We do have games 2 and 3 waiting in the wings, guys. So, guys, do not go anywhere. When we come back, game number 2 will be kicking it off with 2 undefeated teams in the Queensland, ACT, and New South Wales region, guys. So give us just a matter of minutes, and we'll see you in a moment.